Hi.
Hello there. I'm Inam.
I'm Shioban.
And welcome to Mistresses of Mayhem. Today, we'll be speaking about self-care and self-love, what it means to us and why we think it's important. What does it mean to you?
I think that there's so many different facets to something that for a word or subject that has become so prominent over the past year. I think that there is a lot attached to it, and it's like an onion. It's got layers, and I think a lot of the times we kind of gloss over it. And like you mentioned earlier, it's like, oh yeah, I have a spa day kind of once a month, or I go for a massage or something like that. And yes, that is an aspect of it. But I think the biggest part for me personally about self-love is being kind to me. You know, there's a song from by Pink, where she says, "You're so mean when you talk to yourself, and when you talk about yourself, you were wrong. Change the voices in your head, make them like you instead." And I think being kind to yourself, not being so overly critical and harsh, I realized that I do a lot of self-deprecating humor, which is not kind.
It's not.
No, it is funny, but it's not kind. And just generally realizing that I am worthy. I am enough. In myself, I am enough. I think very often we are raised and society puts expectations on us. Like if you reach this income level, or you have a house, you have a car, you have kids, you have whatever, then you are worthy. And then you reach here, and then you're even more worthy. And then you reach here, and then you're even more worthy. It's like you attain goals to become worthy, but you were worthy from the moment you were born.
Yeah.
You don't need to be or become anything. I mean, like, let's take Lewa. Well, if he does or says anything, will it make you love him more? Okay, coffee in bed doesn't count.
I mean,
because that will make me love my kids a lot.
I mean, recently he's been offering to buy me a Lamborghini, so I don't know.
So he's right up there.
He's right up there. I don't know how he's going to afford it, but that's a different story for another day. But no, like the love is constant. He was worthy from the get-go.
But that's it. So are you. You don't need to do anything to deserve your own love.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? So for me, I'm one of those people that cares so much about others and like loves wholeheartedly, and I'm like giving and giving and giving, and then very little much more to give to myself. It's like, great, I've woken up early and I've done this for the kids, and I've done this for my husband, I've done this for my businesses, and then at the end of the day I am exhausted. I'm like,
fucked,
I am done. And I'm like, yeah, what did I do for myself today? And sometimes I'm like, oh no, just by being a mom, or by being a wife, or by being, you know, that's me. That's what completes me. And it's like, no, but at the end of the day, what are you doing for Inam? Like, is Inam fulfilled? Is she happy? Is she, you know, have you given her love today?
Yes.
Not based on the roles that she is. This is me talking to myself in third person. It's so weird.
It's fantastic. I'm really getting into it.
It's so weird. But I'm realizing that no, I need to actually give myself more love, like do something for me. And it can be like just setting boundaries. I'm terrible with boundaries. It's like, yes, I'll do this, I'll do that, or yes, I'll sacrifice a little bit of time that I would have had for myself to do something for someone else. And now it's like, actually self-love and self-care is saying no. It's saying, no, that's not going to make me feel better. Or no, actually, I'd rather give that moment for myself. And it's taken a while to get there.
When you put boundaries in place, how do people react? Because they are used to you giving.
Yes.
How do they react to you going, I would like to help you, but I cannot at this point because I choose not to.
Yeah. Well, because
It's like I would like to be with you, but I don't want to.
I don't want. I think because I've not been as blatant about it, so it's been intentional from my side, but not necessarily saying outright no to someone else. It's more saying, don't say yes. say I'm not available.
Don't put your hand up.
Yeah,
put your hand up. It's like, does anybody want to volunteer?
And now it's like, but before I'd be like, oh, no one else is okay. Let me say. Yeah. But now I'm like, no, Inam, you actually can't. You actually cannot take anymore. You know, don't put your hand up for it, or don't overcommit. Don't say yes to everything. So it's less about me outright saying no, I'm not going to do that thing that you asked me to. I'm still saying yes to some things, but other things I'm like, I'm going to hold back on this one. Or I'm not in the space for this one. Or, you know, I'd get invited to these events or, you know, things, and I'm like, no, I'm actually not available. Oh, what are you doing? Nothing. I'm doing nothing. I'm just not available. I'm not available that day. Because I just want to be by myself. And I'm an introvert, and sometimes come across as an extrovert, but like how I recharge is like being still and being alone, and like get the kids out of the house, and like husband go away, and I'm like just by myself, just an hour, and then I'm back at it. So I've been kinder to myself by giving myself that space and time to just be by myself, which is my form of self-love.
It's interesting because I was chatting to my psychologist, Betty.
Betty
saved my life so many times.
It's me, Betty.
She hears that at least once during our sessions, every session. It's me, Betty. When I am going through a very anxious and stressful time and I'm feeling a bit down, I need my loved one with me. You don't need to say anything. You can just, but I need that closeness, you know. Don't touch me, just be there. Very often I think that people are not aware of what they necessarily need, because we very often spend a lot of time denying ourselves this because of obligations and societal structures. And, you know, if I can just get through this amount of work, and if I can just feed the kids, if I can just put them down, bath them, blah, 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 then I will have this amount of time in the evening where I can do whatever. But by the time you get to that, you're so far
done.
So I think it's giving yourself the time and space that you need, knowing that you are worthy, knowing that you are enough. I've battled with that. My own internal struggle, and Betty and I were chatting about it on Friday, is because of my upbringing and I've got mommy issues. A lot of it comes from me feeling like I need to prove something, and I need to earn love, I need to earn respect and stuff like that. And was it you that we chatted about respect? It was such an interesting conversation where it's like someone says respect needs to be earned, and it's like, no, if you're a human, respect is a basic right. And then it either increases. I mean, you need to treat everybody with respect. It isn't earned. How can you determine who is worthy of your respect if they're human, living, breathing? I mean, all beings, even Bella. There's Bella's breed. She needs respect. I mean, you need to treat all sentient beings with respect, and then either they lose the right to it, or they bolster it.
I think everyone deserves respect. I don't necessarily think they should lose the respect. They would lose the trust and all that thing. But even if you mistrust people, you still want to respect them. You still want to treat them as a basic human. You don't just now you're no longer you're no longer human. You're no longer relevant. You can stop communicating with them, or you can lose the trust. But
you don't need to engage.
You don't have to engage with them. But you'll still need to be respectful towards them because they're still human.
Who had that quote, which was so awesome? want to say it was almost Tupac. Just because you lost me as a friend doesn't mean you gained me as an enemy. I'm bigger than that. I still want to see you eat, just not at my table.
Yeah, I like that quote. A lot over the years as I've gained and lost friendships and clients and just people that were in my life. And it wasn't, I wouldn't say lost, because some of them I intentionally chose to cut out of my life.
Yeah.
Because, not selfishly, because they weren't adding any value. It was just, I'm like, we're at different parts in our lives. And
it's a boundary.
My boundaries are like...
I like that you don't call it lost.
Yeah.
I like that. It was chosen and it was a boundary.
Yeah. Because I was intentional about it. I was like...
Because it's like you are losing out on something. It's
yeah,
like,
no, I'm not. Like, I'm okay. We can talk when we need to talk about whatever makes sense at that time, but we don't have to be intentional about keeping this friendship just because. Yeah. For me, it actually makes sense to set the boundaries. And then we can always communicate when we need to, but it doesn't have to be a forced situation because I don't have the capacity for it. Yeah. And I'm not in a space to have these conversations that they want to have conversations about. I'm like, we're not aligning on these things anymore. So for me, for my own self-love and my own self-care, situations, it's just like, it makes better sense to just not have those discussions anymore. Like, it's okay.
Yeah, you put those boundaries in place to look after your own person. Yeah.
Why is self-care, self-love important? For survival. For survival.
It's simple but true.
For survival. I mean, it's a basic human animal instinct is I need to take care of me first. Yeah. In order for me to survive, I need to be mentally fit. I need to be able to wake up every morning. If I'm taking on too much or these conversations or people are like drowning me, then I'm not going to wake up tomorrow. That's why it's important to set boundaries and to also take care of myself. It's a form, it's self-love. It's a form of love. It's caring for yourself, protecting yourself.
But in order to do that, you need to love yourself.
Yes.
And I think that is where very often I fall short. Because up until recently, I realized that I don't really love myself very much. No, it's true. So I'm getting there. I'm learning to get to know myself, learning to get to love myself. It is something that I'm actively working on. But I think very often we overlook ourselves and just chase our tails. And it's easy to get lost in the self-criticism. And like the other day when I was at Sean, the boxing dude. And I was busy skipping along, literally skipping. Not like do, but skipping because he kills us. And I stood on the rope, and it's those thin ropes, so it like murdered me hard, like down my tricep and on my ass, and like ow! And I'm like, fuck it, come on, Siobhan. I'm like, okay, no, come on, Siobhan, you can do it. Well done in getting a minute and a half into this fucking 3-minute hell. So it's the way I talk to myself. It's a self-criticism. It's the little voices, that I am learning to quiet, because I picked it up from my first stepfather. I picked it up from my mom. I picked it up along the way from a whole bunch of other people who criticized me, and I bought and sold it to myself, and I made it mine, because somewhere along the line I believed it, and it's a lie. Nobody is born that way.
Yeah. I'm like catching up. So now I'm like, and I found myself in this space, this year particularly, being a space where I'm like, what is important to me? Yeah. I'm important.
Sorry, can I have stripping music for a minute?
Keep stripping. Keep stripping. Keep stripping. And I find myself in this situation now where I'm like, I am now important. Before, I did not deem myself important, but now I'm like, I am on my list of priorities. I'm not yet number one. I'm still working on putting myself as number one, but at least I'm on that list.
It's difficult because being a parent, you probably. So here's what I wanted to ask you: with you making yourself number one, how much because this was my battle. And I was raised to be religious.
I was also raised to be religious.
And putting yourself as a priority is considered selfish. And it says put others before yourself. So you always put yourself last, which is actually to your own detriment. Also, with society, it's kind of like shoved down your throat as a mom that your kids come first.
Yeah.
So how much of that not putting ourselves first comes down to paradigms that need to be broken down and shifted?
Airplane, what do they say when it's going to crash or whatever? On yourself first before you help out. I struggled with that whole concept, but it makes sense. Like if you pass out while you're trying to save someone else, then what's the point?
Yeah.
So you got to put it on yourself first, and then you can help others. You can't pour
from an empty cup.
And that's the reality of it. You can try. You're going to struggle. Let us know what you think about our self-love, self-care topic. Give us some feedback on the videos.
We are very stripy.
We are. I mean,
I did not notice the blinds were open. Apologies.
We'll figure it out next time. We're learning, and you are on this journey with us, so you're also learning. And give us the feedback. We want to know what you think about our topics of discussions.
If you have some suggestions,
please do shout, comment on the thing.
Like, subscribe, click the little bell button.
Yes, the little ding-a-ling-a-ling. And looking forward to our next chat.
Absolutely. Awesome. Take care. Bye.